This message is a call to action for all rational, self-interested inhabitants of this once great place we called America. And let my words also be a harbinger, a threat to our enemies, the enemies of freedom and man's free will everywhere. For all of those of you who agree yet are afraid to stand up and be counted with us by our enemies as rebellious, patriot outlaws, hang your heads in shame and be thankful to God and us that the exertions of better men than yourselves keep you free. Compromise, it seems, has become a mantra of our times. But this is nothing more than the trick disguised in a palatable word to deceive you. Compromise is a non sequitur in politics. If compromise is to work, both sides' choices and or opinions must be equal. Morality is not relative, and if the cause for one side is no greater than the other, then there is no real truth. I, as a rational man, with full understanding of my principles, speak to you with the moral rectitude derived only from knowing that my mind is compos mentis and my judgment sound. Going forth with this knowledge, why would I or anyone compromise their truth with lies and deceit? When we sell our truth, we sell our soul. What do you seek in doing this? The acceptance of your enemy? And the ignorant majority, it seems, he wields these days like a medieval mace ready to knock you into obscurity and off the political playing field. I tell you now, not he, nor the majority he swings can take something from you that you do not give them. All men must pay for what they desire and secure their own means of survival. When you hear the devils, the subjectivists deride you as unreasonable for questioning their thievery which has been legalized and renamed as taxes, stand up and say no. One word, no. Do not waste your time trying to reason with the devils. They will trick you into compromise, and this is where the subjectivist has planned to go and where he wants it to end up. Once you compromise your truth, the subjectivist who believes that there is no real truth and that all is relative has, through your compromise, beaten you. For if all is not relative in your truth and that you believe in that what you make is yours and no other man's and no government's unless you allow it to be theirs, for a service that you feel is justly rendered to you, if that is universal and infallible, why would you compromise it? The politicians have all sold their souls, and even the ones who would claim they haven't are guilty in other ways that the other side may not be, but equally guilty. So I say to you now, when they ask for more, stand there and say that one word, no. Say it, mean it. For when mankind in those moments of injustice resolves himself to be forced no further, he speaks with a resounding voice that makes the one word into 1,000, all different, but all meaning one thing. No more. I will not allow this to continue. For too long have free men advanced their enslavement, surrendering justly earned wages to the master of the state, and every dollar they give lengthens the whip with which he beats them. The truth is that no man is another man's master. But when we pay taxes that pay for another man's house, food, a cell phone these days even, that are not our own, we are slaves. We are subservient to their need. I hear patriotic Americans talking as if we still have time to stop the government's attempts to steal away our freedom. But didn't I just say? You're already a slave. It's already lost. Can you not feel the yoke on your back? Is this country not faltering under the yoke of socialized societal standards where the fit no longer are the ones who survive and thrive, but instead must struggle forward uphill in the muddy mire of regulation, taxation, and subservitude up to the masses that they are forced to support? Yes, we are forced to support them. For if you wish to create, want to keep what you make at the end of the day, what happens? A summons at the very least, a court date, possibly even an arrest warrant, and the IRS at your front door, dragging you into court, the unconstitutional court that has built laws out of things they never should have been built out of. And they will drag you in and parade you around as a greedy capitalist criminal who doesn't want to pay his fair share. And the cops will help them do it. The cops that you pay with this money they steal from you and come and incarcerate you with, because you no longer refuse to be a part of the system. They come for you. And you pay them. Ha! Do you not see? And then when they call me a criminal if I do this, not because I am, but because the real crooks who dole out the money that I refuse to give any longer, and the media tools that are part of their apparatus label me as such, does that really make me a criminal? No. Get real. We are losing, and yet we walk and talk amongst each other. We see each other on the internet in our little Republican circles, like libertarian circles, talking to each other like we're making a difference. Do you not see? The system needs to be zeroed back out. Every law and amendment needs to be repealed back to the very Declaration of Independence and the Bill of Rights in its beginning form, scrapping the legislature's power to build more fake laws that they seem to find fit within their moral code on top of the original founding documents which our founding fathers knew would work just fine. Only two principles need to be added, or maybe just reinforced. Volunteerism, that two men only engage in trade or give anything to the other through a voluntary relationship where they both gain, and the libertarian ideal, where if as long as no man encroaches on your freedom, he can do what he wants, and as long as you don't encroach on his, you may as well. That is all that is needed. But we can no longer lie to ourselves that this will change by decision at the ballot box. Almost half of the country would rather feel safe enslaved to their one true master, the state. And even if we could elect better politicians, could we elect enough of them fast enough to make a difference where we could repeal the hundreds of years of encroachment on the freedom of man? Would not get mired down in procedure? And even then, if it was all to be removed, do you think the new politicians, who are only men after all, inherently flawed and corruptible beings, would give up the power to make laws? I can tell you right now, the answer is no, and in fact I can hear after every law has been repealed them saying, "In the spirit of protecting our reaffirmed freedom, I would like to introduce the Smith-Franklin Act," or whatever cleverly worded lie they would like to put out and parade in front of you to masquerade as a bill, but really just another beginning to the usurpation of your freedom. You know it's true. Say it to yourself, because your heart will echo what I have just said, that this is the way it is, and in your deepest soul we know it. Why is it like this? Why must we start from scratch? Because the burden of millions of pages of law, tax, code, regulation have cemented in place the current edifice of corruption that has usurped our freedom. The weight of the current system is like a building, built 100 stories tall, but only on the foundational footings meant for a 2-story house. The footings that we sat on are now crumbled, disintegrated, all but gone. To have what we had before, they must be repoured anew. They cannot be rebuilt. We need to start from scratch. I realize that what I am saying could be called treason, and I an outlaw, but that is not the case, for all that I seek is only the validation of our founding principles and the adherence to them by all people who wish to live under their domain. If I am an outlaw, it is to those who only have the interest vested in the current system. I am only a rebel to those who seek the continuance of feeding and protecting the lazy with my stolen money, earned by my productivity. I am only a traitor to a government that wishes to subjugate the productive of society, the Atlases if you will, in chains, holding up a world that only harbors a putrid disdain for them. You that disagree with me, that feel through my success, through any of our successes, we owe more to the collective good than a man who creates nothing? You loathe us because of your own inadequacy. It is your lost pride. You wish to break us so we are no better than you, for we represent a standard you cannot now in your current state reach. It is no coincidence I use the Atlas reference. I am inspired by Rand when I write this. I think of objectivism. I think of libertarians. I think of not having to do anything unless you choose to, and not making another man do anything unless he does, and he makes that choice for himself. And I hear an echo in my head of one sad truth when I think of Rand, though, that we have no Galt's Gulch. There is no place left on Earth for us to hide. Google Maps can pull up an image of any crevice or valley anywhere in the world, and you can see what's there. And we have no technology to shield us as they did. No, we have nowhere to run. We must stand now, here and now at this moment. It is time to invoke the Declaration of Independence, to say I no longer consent. The government only derives its just power through the consent of the governed. We must retract that consent. We must take it back and say, we have retracted this from you. Your authority we usurp and reinstate our natural rights we have always had from the first breath we took and we will have till the last we take. I write this because the yoke on our neck is slowly turning to a noose. They are preparing and securing the means of their power, and the longer we wait, the more like a noose the yoke becomes, ready for those who descend to rise up, only to have the ground fall away beneath them, and a short rope give them a sudden stop. This will be our fate if we wait much longer. We cannot let them choose the time and the place for that battle they will win. Tactics dictates that when you let your enemy pick the circumstance for battle, it will undoubtedly be to his advantage. Every day we wait is another day in their favor. We cannot let freedom and the last great hope of the earth fade into a totalitarian darkness. If we wait for them to come pry our guns from our cold dead hands, that's exactly what they will do. For when they show up at your door to do that, they will have chosen to be there, and they will be ready. Stand then now. Stand for what you know is yours. Stand with your truth. No man can take from you what you will not give him. There is only one thing that matters in this fight, and those who seek to enslave their fellow man want this more than your money. They want your spirit, your submission. They want you to lay down your rights, and what is naturally yours and yours alone, your individuality, the sanctity of your very person and soul is what they seek, and they will settle for nothing less. This is a battle of good and evil, and there is no compromise in this game. A machine has begun to turn, and we will either dismantle it and begin anew, or be consumed into its workings. Don't beguile yourselves anymore. They have lied to us long enough, and many have fallen for their tricks with their good intentions, and other times they have used our emotions when it suited them to rob you of your logic, common sense, and reason. Wake up. They have used your fear in times of tragedy to steal away our rights, telling us it was for our safety, and we let them do it. And when tragedy struck again, we cheered them on for ordering us into our homes, sheltering in place, they called it, making our bedrooms prison cells. They didn't even need guards, did they? Fear will keep us in line, and they know it now, if they didn't before. No man has the right to force his will on another man. If you will not stand up for this cause now, you never will. To inspire you perhaps further, I leave you with a quote from Ayn Rand. Ayn Rand said, "Do not let your fire go out. Spark by irreplaceable spark in the hopeless swamps of the not quite, the not yet, and the not at all. Do not let the hero in your soul perish in lonely frustration, for the life you deserved and have never been able to reach, the world you desire can be won. It exists. It is real. It is possible. It is yours." Response to Glenn Beck and all the others who think that revolution, not revolution, but a reset from scratch is not necessary, that we can affect change somehow. The system is far too broke. And you have to remember one thing that Anne wrote about, and she came from communist Russia, where she saw the collective and the whole of how they act together. And very rarely are people rationally self-interested. Think of Dagny Taggart and Atlas Shrugged. She thought she could change them with her influence and her positiveness and her wisdom. It's a fool's errand.